Hey guys, welcome to this new series we have started at the Product Folks called as Breaking into Product Management. In this series, we talk to young PMs and people who have recently transitioned into product management and try to understand the tips and tricks behind how they crack the interviews, what were the early challenges, and how they are going about their jobs in the new role. I'm Aditya Mohanty from the Product Folks, and for this episode, we have Nishit with us. Nishit is currently an APM at Globis, and he'll obviously talk a lot about his journey today and how he has transitioned into product management. So, Nishit, why don't you start with maybe a quick journey of your career and how you transition into product management to begin with?
Sure. Hi guys, Nishit here. So I come from a small town in Gujarat called Ankleshwar. Later on, I went to Chennai for my graduation. I completed my degree in computer science. In between, for the first 2 years, I was kind of very, what I can say, directionless about what to do. I tried coding, web, Android, and ML and everything, but nothing seemed to stick. In the meanwhile, during the 2017 bull run, got quite interested in cryptocurrency. And because of that I got introduced to Twitter, because the community was quite strong on Twitter. Started following relevant folks on Twitter about the crypto community, and slowly due to that I got introduced to Manas now works at Gojek, right? So I read his article about how he got into product management, like how he mailed the CEO of Reddit and later on the CEO of DirectAI, Bhavin Gorakhia, and how he got his job in product management. So then I got interested, like this is something, what's this product management? It kind of seems interesting. So started going through his reading list. He shared a lot of stuff on Medium and LinkedIn everywhere. Uh, Tried reading everything. Then again, followed some more relevant folks on Twitter. So yeah, I would definitely recommend Twitter to everyone. The network is amazing, and start following relevant folks. Started seeing more relevant content, and I was kind of hooked. Completely hooked. Completed a lot of books, a lot of blogs, articles, and yeah. So that was how I got into product management. Still, I didn't know that if I had in me to become a product manager, right? Theory is sometimes a lot more different from practical. So yeah, that was it. And one day scrolling through Twitter, I came through a tweet about Coinex posting a job opening for business development internship, and I thought, okay, I don't want to do coding. This is something which is very similar to product management, like not very different from product management right now. So maybe I can apply for this. I applied to it, and thankfully I got accepted because there were not a lot of folks at that point of time who understood crypto and the entire market and the economics of crypto and everything. Got in as a BD intern. The 2 months over there were fantastic. It was a very fast growing startups. We had around a million users at that point of time, and our top trading days were around $250 million of crypto traded on one day. So yeah, that was a really great experience. And over there, at that point of time, RBI came up with a circular saying all crypto activities in India are now illegal. Banks won't be allowed to interact with you with the crypto exchanges. And at that point of time, I saw how actually a product is built. In response to this RBI notice, we built out a product called Coinex Loop, which was a which was a workaround to trade cryptocurrencies. It was a P2P method where you pay a person in cash and he transfers you the Bitcoin. So I saw how quickly and uh, how much amount of effort and execution goes into building a product. The guy shipped it out in less than 3 weeks, I think. So yeah, that was my first experience to seeing a product in such a short amount of time. And yeah, I was fascinated by it. This was, I think, around my third year. And after it, I was much more, what we can say, much more firm that I want to get in product management. The folks from Coinex again got back to me saying we want to offer you another internship, and this time I told the founder about my inclination towards product management. So even they were quite excited about it. They told, okay, we have seen you work in BD. Uh, uh, why don't you give us an interview again for a product management role? Had 2 rounds of interviews, one with a senior PM and one with the director of product management, and then yeah, got an internship at Coinex only. At that time, we were Coinex only, and after that, again, when I joined again, uh, the business was not doing so great because of the RBI regulations. Banks were what I can say, becoming a very big hassle or a barrier for us to continue our business. The revenues were quite low. So we thought entirely as an organization, we thought of shutting it down and moving to a new business, which makes much more sense financially also. So yeah, that's when Coinex stopped and slowly started. So it was around that time only when I got converted into a full-time product manager. And yeah, since then I've been working over there for full 1 year.
Awesome, awesome. Great journey so far. I think even I would recommend Twitter to everyone because that's a platform which gives a lot of value, not only uh, like professionally, but to make good connections, etc. And Manas, of course, has been a great mentor to me as well. So he's a great guy to follow and check out his site. A couple of really good articles and blog posts around product management. Uh, like you mentioned, Nishit, you after being a BD intern for a couple of months, you then got a chance to get into product management internship. And you mentioned that you had to go through 2 rounds of interviews for that. Can you share a bit more on the interview experience of like Coinex?
Sure, sure. So at that point of time, I was working in Coinex. I had joined again as a BD intern, only, right? And it was time of my transition to PM, right? So the first interview was with a senior product manager over there, and the questions were very specific to crypto tech design in general. So the first question that the first round of interview, it was 2 questions. The first question was, what do you know about the cyber attacks that have happened on crypto exchanges in the past? And if you were a PM at Coinex, what would you do to prevent all those kind of cyber attacks at Coinex, right? So this involved a bit of market research and Googling, right? You need to know how to Google stuff.
Was
Right?
this a take-home assignment or?
Yeah, it was kind of a take-home assignment. Yes. So, so essentially, I was working over there, and I was told, okay, do this in 1 day or 2 days whenever you're comfortable.
Got it.
Yeah, so you go through what all is happening in the space, and then you come up with, okay, these are the kind of possible attacks that have happened. These are the impact that this kind of attacks have on an exchange, and okay, we should do this as an exchange to protect ourselves. Nothing around prioritization or design as of now, right? It would be coming in the second round. This was the first task for me. Second was again a face-to-face interview only, where it was more of a whiteboarding session. The question over here was slightly, I can say, based on guesstimates or assumptions, as you call it. The question was: imagine if if you're a PM at Coinex, and you want to increase the deposits of Ripple by 20% in your exchange. What would you do? So, for folks not familiar, Ripple is a kind of a cryptocurrency, and exchanges have deposits of such cryptocurrency from users. So, yeah, my aim for that question was to increase the deposits of Ripple by, let's say, 20%. What is the proposal that I have? So this was a much more complex round. You need to know lots of data, right? What is the current trading volume of the exchange? What's the approximate deposit of an exchange? If you don't know, you can ask clarifying questions, or you can just make up assumptions like I am assuming that this is X and so on. And then you need to go ahead and figure out, okay, you are increasing deposits by 20%. That means you have to get it from somewhere else, right? So where are you getting it from? Are these your competitors? Okay, how much do they have approximately? There are ways to figure that out through guesstimate and again assumptions. And then if you are getting this much, how much are you spending, right? You can get 20% of your deposits by giving incentives, let's say worth 30%, right? But that's not a viable business strategy. So you need to know how incentives work and what kind of incentives will sound appealing to the traders, right? Because there are crypto traders who trade in large volumes on a daily basis, right? So you need to come up with something which can be much more financially viable also and increase your deposits at the same time. Yeah. So this
Got
was
it.
the second portion of the first round only. And my final round was a long interview. It was a face-to-face interview with the director of product management. And the question over there asked was, it's a fairly common question in every interview. They'll ask you with what's your favorite product, and you take a name of a product, and then you'll be asked what do you like about it. That's just to see your opinion. What are your opinion about products and in general. After that, it will go much deeper into case study format, right? So my question at that point of time was: imagine now you are a PM of after the first half completed. Like imagine if you are a PM of YouTube, what feature would you build, right? This is something which is very very vague, right? If you are a first time PM, you would directly jump into suggesting something like, okay, I would build live videos, or I would build TikTok style videos for YouTube, right? So, and this is the first mistake that most new PMs do. So at this point of time, you need to ask clarifying questions. What do you want me to make? So is when you're talking about YouTube, is it for a mobile app, for a web app, or any other platform, right? Is it the embeddable videos? And after it, what is the goal of the feature that you're building? Is it engagement? Is it retention? And after you ask all of this, then you can even ask more clarifying questions in the way, right? What are the current stats of YouTube, right? What are the DAUs? What is the engagement time? And let's say you finalize on the product that we are building has to optimize for engagement, right? So then you again come up with, okay, what are the ways to optimize engagement? Is it watch time? Is it likes? Is it the number of app opens? And then after you have done all this, you lay out all your solutions, potential solutions that you can build for this, right? Some of it can be very very hard to build from the technical side. Some of it can be very easy. And once you have a list of all the solutions, you need to prioritize on a basis of cost and impact or effort. And there are multiple frameworks for it. You can use RISE. Facebook uses RISE, reach, impact, competencies, and multiple others. You can just look it up. Mostly it's just impact versus effort. If the impact is more and the effort is less, you go with it. After you have done that, the next part of the interview was, okay, so you finalize this. Now, can you just draw some quick wireframes of some major flows of this product, right? So then you do that, and after that, so this evaluates every skill of yours, right? From tech to data to design, everything. How does the DB schema or the APIs look for this product that you are building? And this was fairly long interview, 2.5 hours. And after that, the normal questions fairly in the end were, okay, so how do you keep updated yourself with the new trends in design and products? What books have you read? It's just general to know your opinion. And final questions around stakeholder management and conflict resolution, saying, okay, let's say you worked very hard on a new feature and tomorrow your CEO says, okay, I don't like it. How do you respond to this? So these questions are just meant to test your let's say conflict resolution and capabilities, and how collaborative you are, how deeply do you understand the problem, and so on. Yeah, so this was about my interview experience.
Interesting. You mentioned some excellent points. In fact, I think a lot of young PMs and people who are just looking to break into product management, they make the mistake of jumping into the solutions first. And another interesting point was that all product management interview questions are vague. You need to ask clarifying questions to unravel and get to the essence of the problem. And then, like you mentioned, prioritization and all of those steps come in. Great. So I think after the interview process, I would like to dig deeper into your first 6 months as a product management, since you have never had product experience before, and how did you go about your initial few months into your product management journey, and what are some specific challenges that you faced in this journey?
Sure. I'll talk about this will be very specific to my experience, right? Because
Sure.
the phase was when we were shutting down Coinex and we were figuring out what to build next, right? So this was a phase of user research and more around ideating and wireframing and everything. And then for the first few months, this was the case, and then in the later 3 4 months, it was a case of your execution. So
Interesting. And Flowbiz was a completely new business that you guys were starting, right?
entirely. So Coinex
Got
was
it.
cryptocurrency entirely. It's a different market. The TG was different, and Flowbiz was something we wanted to do in the SME space for in which has elements of fintech in it. So it was very blank at that point of time. We had to decide what to build, and then once we finalized, we had to start doing it. So for the first few months when we are doing the initial user research, market research, and the first few challenges that I can think of is I didn't know how to do proper user research. Like I can literally look back at me a year back and I didn't know how to ask the right kind of questions. I used to call people up every day, asking regarding their problems. It was a very big question, right? What problem do you face? And after I conducted like 5 10 interviews, and after each and every interview, I would get the same answers, right? So I was quite disappointed. This is leading to the same thing each and every time. I'm not getting anything meaningful out of it, right? Most of the people were not even interested to talk, so this was quite disheartening for me at that point of time. So again, I talked to my manager about it. He recommended me a book called The Mom Test, which is a fantastic book. Everyone should read it. So once you read Mom Test, you are enlightened truly. You know how to ask the right kind of questions. You know what people mean when they say certain things. So this changed my entire game of user research. I started asking the right kind of questions. I used to dig deeper, and people were now interested to talk, right? Because when you take interest in their life, they are kind of very interested to talk. So I've had conversations ranging till 30 minutes, 40 minutes as well. So this was the first challenge that I faced about user research and how I overcame it. Second was tools and processes. So talking about tools, you read a lot of theory about data analytics and PRDs and wireframing, but you never have experience of using those tools, right? Let's say you didn't use CleverTap because CleverTap is expensive, right? You get to use it only when you join a company. So this was quite challenging for me in the first few days. So yeah, we had a landing page to collect data, collect information about people who are interested in. So how do I make sense of that using Google Analytics and all of that sort? That was quite challenging. And building wireframes on Balsamiq, I didn't know that I had to build wireframes so soon into the job. So yeah, that was completely unexpected. I didn't play with Balsamiq before. I used to do it on paper and pen mostly, or on a whiteboard. So yeah, learning Balsamiq was quite tricky in the first, but again, our designer was quite helpful. We sat it with him in a room for like 2-3 hours, and he explained the entire flow. What are the shortcuts? Basically, shortcuts make your life very very easy. Grouping, ungrouping, and everything. So it was quite helpful for me. So yeah, at this point of time, whenever you're stuck or whenever you don't know what to do, please ask your fellow colleagues. Right, they'll be more than happy to help. I always used to feel like I am asking for their time and they would be disturbed or something like that. But don't ever feel that when you're just starting out. You should go and just ask them that I need this. I don't know this. I need to know this. Can you help me? This was the second thing. So after this, when we started building the actual product, right, from tech, design, every side. So the first thing that comes to your mind is, God, this is overwhelming. Lot of things happen every month. So now you are suddenly, when you're switching from a BD role to a product role, in BD role you used to hardly interact with tech, right? And now everyone in the company is interacting with you, from tech to design to marketing, sales, customer support. Everyone wants to talk to you. Everyone wants to ask questions. Everyone wants you to do something for them, right? This was quite overwhelming for me. I struggled with it a lot in the initial few days, but yeah, you need to take time and talk to them, understand the needs, what they are asking, why they are asking so, and then you need to have a framework for prioritizing what to do, what not to do, and how about telling no. You need to tell no to certain things, and you need to tell it in a right way. Communication over here is very very important. Yeah, this was one thing. Second was this was the first role that involved a lot of collaboration, right? I didn't do any much collaboration before. It was an internship in BD, which typically involves a lot less interaction. So I used to be afraid to speak up in meetings and product discussions, right? Thinking that I just joined and I don't know much. I think the other folks know more than me, so I should just try to listen and absorb. So I used to stay quiet during the entire meeting time. So yeah, this was one thing that my manager highlighted me during my one-on-ones. He told, okay, please don't do this. You should try and speak up. So I started working actively on this after this, and it gave amazing results. So when you start talking, right, you need to put a lot more thought, and you start thinking things more clearly. So that's when you have a structured thinking, and before you speak anything, you think a lot about it, right? Even thinking and writing. So this was one thing which I struggled with. Uh, Apart from it, the last two things that I can think of is building a personal relationship with the team. So these are the folks that you have to work with 12 hours a day, almost half your day, right? So at my first few months, I was not very friendly with them. I can say it was much more of a professional relationship. I used to just talk about work and everything, but slowly you realize that you need to build a personal relationship with them. It's your team. You will be working with them uh, throughout the day. There will be tough times, so you need to have a shared bonding and a shared understanding. For that, you need to build a personal relationship and friendship. So this was one thing. And the final thing was, I was not at all organized, right? As a PM, you get a lot of things to do, a lot of tasks to do, which I used to forget. Certainly there were a list of around 20 tasks a day, and I didn't know. I would miss 4 or 5 of them, and they would end up being much more impactful, right? So I struggled with this also for a first few months. I would just write it down on a notepad and everything, but again, it would go lost in the world of notes. So again, I talked to my fellow PM, and he recommended me using a tool. That use any tool, Evernote or anything. So I started using a tool called TickTick, which is to-do app plus a calendar sort of thing combined, and it really solved much of the problem of being organized. Any task that you get, anything that you have to do, just put it in the to-do list and set a reminder for it, and then you'll just keep on following. Yeah. So
Awesome.
these were about.
Wow, some great insights into the initial few months. I think this is something that a lot of PMs should definitely follow. People who are looking to transition or are early into their careers right now, because these are things which ideally you don't read much about them, but when you are actually into the job, you realize that these are the things I could have done better, or these are things maybe I shouldn't have done. Things like you mentioned, right? Not speaking up in meetings, and these are things you won't read in books or articles. This is something once you experience, then you get to know that, oh yes, I can be much more active, proactive, much more collaborative, and things like that. So awesome. I think that's great. Another thing that I wanted to know was how do you like become better at product management while at your job? Are there any specific things that you do to become better at the core skills of product management while at your job?
Sure. So I think when you become a PM, you enter into a pursuit of lifelong learning. Right? You can never ever stop learning. There will be new problems that you face every single day, and that's how you will start thinking about how do I solve this problem, right? So let me give you an example. If you are stuck with something around design, right? So what are the pros versus cons of a bottom navigation approach versus a sidebar or a menu bar approach? How do you solve it? You don't know, right? And you need to work with your designer. You need to have opinion about certain things. So how do you go about it? So naturally, if you want to become the best at what you do, you will start reading up on it, right? You'll start reading articles, reading books, and then once you learn from that, you'll apply it in your job, right? So the next day you'll go and you'll tell your designer, okay, I learned this, I think we should go ahead with this, right? And so in a product management job, the feedback loop is much more tighter and much more faster, right? You can learn and implement always and most instantaneously. So this will be very useful for you going forward in your job. So I used to do this. Whenever I was stuck with a problem, I used to talk to my fellow PMs or PMs at other companies or read a book, an article, and then again go and execute at some point of time. Remember, executing is very important. You can just read up all of your books, but you would not remember anything if you don't actually do it. So this was one thing. Apart from it, be genuinely interested in products. You should have a good taste of products, right? And you should be passionate about products, I can say, right? So if you are let's say I'm in fintech, so I should be much more passionate about fintech. It should come from within, right? It cannot come after a lot of effort, right? It has to come from within. You should be interested in knowing your competitors. What are they doing? What are the products that are working in the market right now? Is there some company doing something very innovative in the similar space but in a different market like Indonesia or Southeast Asia or USA? So you need to be very curious about all of this, and once you start getting curious, you'll automatically start reading about it. And then if you start reading, you start developing opinions of things, right? And once you have opinion about things, then you become a much more valuable person. Your learnings become much more valuable. Again, books are there, blogs are there. Twitter, I definitely recommend Twitter. Go and follow folks. So let's say there's this guy you really admire who's a PM at a company called a big company, let's say Twitter or Google, right? So there are very high chances you'll be active on Twitter, because Twitter is not like Medium where you need to write a long article, right? You can just write a short thread and be done with it in 10 minutes. So people do actively share a lot of things on Twitter. Keep following relevant people, and you have a workflow. You can develop a workflow for that as well. Follow relevant people and then go to their likes, go to their followers, find out more interesting people, more interesting content, and then just let the Twitter algorithm take over. It will show you more interesting content and more interesting things to read about. Yeah, this was how I was genuinely interested in this, and that's how I kept reading. There are webinars, there are meetups as well. So when I came to Bangalore, the first benefit I thought when I came to Bangalore was I was able to attend a lot of meetups, right? There's amazing community of product folks over here, Hello Meets and Meetups to name a few. So every weekend I used to attend all of them, almost all of them, even if it was not related to product, it was just related to tech or sales or marketing. I used to just attend out of curiosity, and that helped me a lot in the initial few days because there are people sharing stories with you. Where they face some hard time at their company, at their job, they face a certain problem, and they are telling you how they solve the problem. So that helps a lot.
Awesome, awesome. I think there are a couple of questions in the chat. I'll just ask the ones that I feel might be relevant. So Darsh asks, how do you start preparing for product management? So I think it is slightly towards interview and towards the role as well. So can you share tips around how did you start preparing for the role?
Sure. So once you know you want to get into product management, there are 4 or 5 core skills that you need to understand very deeply, right? So there are a couple of books, 1 or 2 books that are absolutely the basic starting books of PM. If you read it, you'll be quite well versed in most of the aspects. So cracking the PM interview and Decode and Conquer to name a few. Once you go through these 2 books, you will have a very basic and proper understanding of what is involved in a PM's role, what are the expectations of PM's role, design, tech, and all of it. And after that, once you do this, start going ahead with analyzing apps on your phone. It's a very normal approach. Everyone should do it actually if you want to get into development. Use what you have learned, open an app on your phone, and then try to think about why they took a certain decision in a certain way. If tomorrow Swiggy starts allowing you to allowing to order from multiple restaurants at once, how is it helping them? Why did they do this? Or if Swiggy introduced a new, let's say, subscription plan apart from Super, something else, why did they do this? How is it helping them? So this is from a much more business or strategy perspective. From a design perspective, also just take out the mobile apps and see what elements are they prioritizing, right? If on Airbnb search is on top, what are the functionalities that are given in search? Which feature do you think has the best retention, or which feature do you think is much more valuable for the company, right? Try to think in terms of metrics. If you are a PM at Airbnb or Swiggy, or let's say, what would your dashboard look like? What metrics would you be tracking on a daily basis? Then if you start doing all of this, you'll start getting some sense out of what a PM job comprises of. After this, try doing case studies. I can't emphasize on that. Case studies are a lot important. You should do it not alone, but with fellow PMs. There, case studies, you can find some in Decode and Conquer as well. Case studies will differ from, let's say, some will be a product design case study where you will need to design a new product, say alarm clock for the blind, which is a very crazy idea. Second will be redesigning the LinkedIn flow, entire job search flow. This will be something different. So these are product design problems, and then you will have case studies around guesstimates. So let's say, should Google launch? What will the revenue of Gmail? Let's say this is one case study. How should I price my product if I'm launching in a new country? How should I do this? So there are a couple of books around this. One is the PM interview. It has a lot of case studies, around 160, I think. It's written by the author of Decode and Conquer only, but it's not so popular. You can just find it out on LibGen. Otherwise, it's really costly. You can just download it from LibGen, and then you can use it. Do it with fellow PMs, people who are preparing for product management interviews. It helps a lot, right? Try to get on Zoom calls with them and join communities, product school community, creators of our product. This guy, the PM interview, even he has a community. So then you will find a lot of folks who are appearing for PM interviews at different kinds of companies, and they'll be needing someone to practice with. Start attending, joining the calls. Sometimes you need to give them a case study session. Other times they'll help you out. So this is how you start about preparing for the interviews.
Awesome. Great tips there. I think one of the things which a lot of people advise but very few people follow is actually breaking down the apps in your phone, actually seeing the apps in your phone and thinking, how did this feature come into play? What was the thought process behind having this flow around and things like that, right? Just being curious around the apps in your phone can be a great way to get a initiation towards thinking like a product manager. And then of course the resources that you mentioned are pretty good as well. Shrishti has a question around how do you manage stress during the interview? How do you switch into a problem solving mode and maybe be less stressful and answer confidently, things like that?
Sure. So the first thing I'd like to emphasize is don't be stressed in an interview. Very easy to say. You naturally, if your first interview, you'll be stressed. Uh, but be very normal and natural. Don't think of it as an interview. Think of it as a talk. That's how the interviewers see it, right? They don't get into directly grilling mode. They see it normally as a talk, right? It starts with tell me something about yourself. What are you doing? And then generally progresses to a normal question. It's more like a talk only, a long conversation, right? Otherwise, it's very hard to interview someone for 2 to 3 hours straight. So this will help. And uh, remember your your problem solving mode. Yeah, your question was how to get into the path of problem solving mode. So when you are in interview, you will tend to think a lot of things, right? But what is your main aim? What is your main role as a product manager, right? You are there to solve problems. And how do you solve problems? You need information to solve problems, right? You need certain data points. And if you don't have data points, what do? You ask questions, right? So that's how you approach it. You think always think about solving some problem, right? When you're asked make a new app for YouTube, what problem is it solving? This is the first question that should come to your mind. And if you don't have enough answers to enough data to answer that question, keep asking until you have all the data points that you need, and then you can swiftly convert to a problem solving mode and then solve it at one go.
Got it. Also, there were a couple of questions around being from a non-tech background and dealing with the tech team. So, since did you have prior coding experience before joining like a product role?
Yeah, I did have a little bit of coding experience. I wouldn't
Yeah,
consider myself a great coder, but
yeah,
yeah, I have a very, very tiny experience of coding this.
got it. So, how did you like? What are some tips around how to deal with tech teams and maybe how to speak their language and collaborate with them more often so that you can build a good product because a lot of contributions come from the tech team as well. So, you need to be maybe speak the tech language, know a few things, know about APIs, know about database structures, etc. So, what are some things that you would say advise for people who belong to a non-tech role, non-tech background, but are getting into product management and have to deal with that tech teams?
Sure. So if you're from a non-tech background, you should. It's not necessary for you to know coding, right? But you should know the basic terminologies and how tech works. Basically, what's front end, what's back end, what's API, what are databases, what are different technologies used to build a mobile app. Is it a Android or Android native app, or you're using React? Uh, what's an app? How does an app work, right? What happens when you type www.google.com in your browser? These are some of the things that you should know. You should definitely know because you are working with engineers as a tech product manager. uh, you should have some opinions. They'll need your inputs around certain things, so you should definitely know all of this. You can just look it up across YouTube. YouTube is again another great resource. You can find 10 to 15-minute videos of something that is fairly complex, but it can be explained to you. The basics can be explained to you in fairly simple way in like half an hour, 1 hour. You can know what SQL is and basic queries of SQL in 1 to 2 hours max, right? And if you get into more complex joins and everything, that that will take some time. So yeah, be prepared with the basics. That's what I recommend. And after you are into a job, after you get into a job, the first thing I would recommend is block time with your engineering lead or engineering manager or anyone who will be working with you on the product. Understand what has been done till now and why it has been done. What frameworks are they using? What technologies are they using? And what's the API schema like? How is the product interacting? Who's in the backend team? Who's in the front end team? Uh, Front end mein, are we using desktop, web, mobile? What are different products? Who is working on what? You should have a very clear understanding of who is working on what. And at this point of time, when you get confused, ask clarifying questions. They'll be more than happy to help. So if they come up with a term saying microservices, you don't know what microservices is, just ask them or Google it. They will be happy to explain, right? Engineers are the I've seen many engineers are very good at explaining such things in a non-technical format. They'll relate something from a physical world like ice cream machine, and then they'll explain how it relates to microservices, and then it'll be very very easy to understand that. Yeah.
Great. I think there's another question around behavioral questions in an interview. Maybe any pointers around how to tackle behavioral questions in a product management interview?
Sure. So I would not have too much experience about it because my interview was an intern interview, right? It was an interview for internship. So lot of behavioral won't come over there. They will just ask you about your projects and what you have done in the past and what you want to do. But if you are already in a job 2 3 years and then you want to transition to a product management role, there will be a lot of questions around behavioral, right? Tell me something that you have done in the past 1 year that was remarkable, or tell me how you lifted out a team out of crisis, everything. So first thing that again I learned this from Manas. So the thing is, just have stories to tell about yourself, right? Stories to tell, and you have a framework for it called NSTAR, which is Nugget, situation, task, action, response. So Nugget is, I'll give you an example about this for behavioral. Just follow NSTAR, and there are multiple things about NSTAR for failure, for leadership, for communication, and everything. So you just prepare stories, multiple stories for it, and keep repeating them. So let's say if you're NSTAR, your question was, tell me about a time where you did something which was remarkable, right? So how do you present it in an Insta format? Insta is just putting a structure to the story. You just need to be very good at storytelling. So Insta is nugget. What is the nugget? Nugget is something that you will tell in 1 or 2 sentences the entire thing, right? So let's say if I want to start my story with, I'll answer, okay, so let me tell you about a time where I got promoted in 6 months. This is a nugget, right? This hooks the interviewer. He'll feel, okay, what did this guy do, which was so influential that he got promoted in 6 months? This is a nugget. It's your chance to hook the interviewer. You can use keywords over here, something which he remembers and he likes. So this was a nugget. Then situation. Situation is what was there at that point of time, right? So let's say I'll tell, okay, so we were in a rut. We didn't have developers with us. Uh, or designers with us. We had developers, we didn't have designers, let's say. And this was a situation, and we had to launch a product in a matter of 2 weeks, and our designers just resigned. So this was a situation. Task, what task you had to perform over there? What task you had to perform? So naturally, if a designer is not there, your task is to perform as a designer, or bring up some another designer, or tell your developer to design, or something like that. So this was the task. Actions is what action did you take at that point of time? So here your action would be, okay, so I quickly learned a sketch in a matter of 2 days. I didn't sleep for 2 days. I learned sketch. And from the next day, I started designing. I designed the entire flow myself. This was the action. And last one is response or reaction. So response was okay. The team was very happy with it. The developers were quite good that they were seeing designs. They were frustrated that they were not able to get designs. Now they were quite happy, and because of this thing, we launched the product in 2 months, and without a designer, and that's how I got promoted in 6 months. This was a framework for your behavioral questions.
Awesome. I think, yeah, NSTAR is the single most important framework for behavioral questions. And another thing that I would add on top is actually speak out your answers. Like when you actually write them, the tone of your voice, the confidence in your voice, that might not be as intuitive. But when you are in an actual interview setting, you need that confidence in your voice. You need that storytelling tone in your voice, that you really did something great, and be as honest as possible. When you have a few stories ready, make sure that you answer honestly. If you bluff, people who are interviewing you have much more experience in uh, figuring out what the false lies are and things like that. So stay true to your stories and make sure that you're prepared well. I think those are the only two important things for behavioral questions. Uh, another another question by Darsh is, I've been preparing for PM. I have my queries on how to solve design questions which are out of your domain knowledge. Let's say some questions pop up on crypto or agri-tech which you are not familiar with. How would you approach them? So basically, something just completely opposite of your industry or something you know very little about.
Sure. First thing, as a PMX, you are expected to know almost everything that's happening in the world right now. It's your job to read and read and read. You should be aware of all of this. But let's say you are interviewing this right now and you don't have anything, you don't know much about it. So you can ask clarifying questions. That's the answer in a very short format. I can give an example. So let's say you are designing, your question is design a publisher experience for ebook, Kindle ebook, right? So how would you go about this? You don't know what are the steps that go into publishing. You don't know anything about it, right? So at that point of time, there are frameworks which will do this. So framework is nothing but you have a question, you ask certain set of uh, ask certain set of clarifying questions, and you have certain steps of problem solving methods, and at the end of it you get a very simplified format, right? It converts a black box into something that's much more understandable for you. So use this framework. So let's say interviewer tells design something for a Kindle publishing experience. You tell, okay, uh, I'm not so familiar with the Kindle publishing experience. Can you tell me what part of the experience would like to focus on? So Kindle experience would go from editing a book, making covers, to publishing finally. So can you tell me a bit about which part would you like me to focus on? If he tells, okay, so this part. Otherwise, if he tells some other part, you can again ask clarifying questions about it. So, okay, when you're talking about covers, do you mean physical covers or do you mean digital covers? Is it just the covers, or is it also the graphic art inside of them, right? You need to be aware about company's mission and vision on a very high basis, right? So if you are it's a Kindle problem, right? So you should know who makes Kindle. Amazon. What is the mission of Amazon? Amazon is a customer facing company. Everything should do for the customer, right? So you should know what Amazon wants to do. If it's a question around, let's say, fitness devices, what's Fitbit? So what is the goal of Fitbit? So now Fitbit is acquired by Google. So what is the goal of Google? So you should know all of this, and then you can basically easily relate all of this to the ultimate vision and the mission of the company, and then you'll be fairly able to solve it. Yeah. If you don't know anything about it, just ask clarifying questions, or tell him, okay, be very honest. Tell them I don't know much about. I would like to ask very clarifying questions, or if you have something, you can ask a different question as well.
Awesome, awesome. That's a great answer. So just to end this conversation, do you have any specific books, resources, blogs that you would suggest every product aspiring product person to read, or maybe listen to, maybe podcast recommendations, anything that you would like to share? You can maybe put up the links in the chat section.
Sure. So there are a lot of books, a lot of videos, lot of content, podcasts, and everything.
Yeah,
You should definitely read all of them, but you should also have a workflow for retaining more of the information, right? If you just read it, you'll mostly forget it everything after a week or 2 weeks, right? So have a workflow for taking notes, take notes, store them somewhere, and keep revisiting them whenever you want to, right? So I use some tool, any tool that works for you. Use Evernote, use Notion, and keep taking notes and keep importing these tools so that you can go back and refer to them at the point of time, search through them, and maybe tag them using different folders, right? You can even use Google Bookmarks, let's say, make folders for design, for product, for tech, anything good that comes upon, just store it over there, and highlights you can just write it down in a piece of paper or Notion or Evernote or anything. So these are the resources that I'm pasting link here. Just a second. Yeah. So this is Manas's website. So this is very, very, very comprehensive. If you read this, it will actually take you 2 to 3 months to complete all of it, even in just one reading, like not even thinking on taking notes. And it's very, very nicely divided into tech, design, behavioral, product, everything. And again, strategy, road mapping. It covers entire thing. It has a list of resources, books, videos, A to Z that you can think of. This one. Second is again Sachin Rekhi, who is the founder of NodeJoy. Even he has a recently has a source of, let's say, links or resources around product managers. And the third one is from Lenny. Lenny is a PM at Airbnb. He also has his own newsletter. He's very, very well versed in marketplaces. So you can read his articles. He has 4-part series on marketplaces. It's really amazing. And even he has the last one that I sent, how to get into product management, is very, very good. He has basically broken down skills into problem solving, execution, communication, strategy, road mapping, everything, and then you have relevant links of articles, books, blogs, and videos with it. So keep reading and following through these links, and you almost have everything. Most of the good content is over here.
awesome. I think, yeah, these are great reading lists, and like you mentioned, this will take at least 2 to 3 months for anyone to complete. And these guys keep adding resources and links, keep sharing it through their social media handles as well. So make sure you follow them. And this is yeah, pretty comprehensive, and it will give you a proper understanding about for each of the domains like tech, design, strategy, road mapping, prioritization, everything, right? So, yeah, I think this was a great session, Nishit. Thanks for sharing all the insights and tips and tricks around product management. It was amazing having you. where can people reach you? Like you're pretty active on Twitter, I know, and I think we connected on Twitter as well initially. So maybe just let everyone know where people can connect with you so that they'll be able to get in touch and ask more queries.
Yes, I'm fairly active on Twitter as well as LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You can reach out to me on Twitter and reply you instantly. If you reach out to me on LinkedIn, I can maybe take 1 or 2 days to reply you. So I've mentioned my Twitter handle in the comment section down below. Just you can DM me over there. My DMs are open anytime.
Awesome. Just DM Nishit with all your product questions and he'll be able to help you out. So thanks everyone for joining. We'll keep doing this sessions frequently where we decode what our early PMs doing to crack interviews and solving challenges in the initial days. I'm just putting out the LinkedIn product community group that we have. And you can also follow us on Twitter. We are pretty active on Twitter as well. We keep sharing such resources
Yeah.
and we keep doing online events where you guys can join and learn. So
Yes.
thank you so much,
Folks,
everyone, to join.
just copy the links right now. Otherwise, if the call is ended,
Yeah,
you will not be able to see any of it. So please copy it and
yeah,
open the browser or note it down somewhere right now.
yeah. Just save the link so that you don't miss out on that. I'll keep the call on for 2 more minutes. But thank you everyone for joining. This is all from our end, and thank you so much, Nishit, for sparing your time and sharing all this insights.
Thank you, Aditya. This was a great session, great audience. I love it. Yeah, you asked some really great questions. Any question, any problem, please just DM me. I'll be
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.